Hi Tubies, here's Alexandra, and welcome to another painting tutorial. Well, I finally got my hands on the new Dominion box set, about 8 weeks later than anybody else here on YouTube apparently, but, well, here it is, and I can finally make some painting tutorials for you. So, here we have one of the new Stormcast Eternals Vindictors with spear and shield, and what I've done, I've built him up, and I've primed him with a GW spray primer Retributor armor. So the shield is still not glued in, because, well, the whole miniature is a snap fit miniature, so you don't need glue. And the first thing we are going to do is give this armor a little bit more contrast, and what better to use than contrast paint, pun intended. So we will just cover the entire miniature with this color. So this will give all the cracks and crannies, all the recesses, a really nice dark brown tone, and the surface will be highlighted later and will give a nice pre-shade to everything. So I will finish that up. This is just applying some wash, and I'll be back in a second. So there we are now. The wash is all dry now, and now let's quickly paint all the metal parts. I use now lead belcher for that. Just a little bit on the palette, and then we'll quickly paint here all the scale mail armor. Just like that. Don't forget, here in between is also some armor. You get the point. After that, I will cover this metal parts with some black wash to give it a nice shading, but I will not show that on the camera, so that you know that already. Not that you get confused after the next step, and all is much darker than what I'm doing right now here. Yeah, you get the point. I will finish the silver parts and be right back. Okie dokie tubies. So he does look like this after the ugly teenage wash stage. And now we will start to highlight. So at first we start again with lead belcher. Now we take a finer tipped brush, and we pick out all the scale mail, always at the lower part, just a tiny bit to highlight it. Ding ding ding, ding 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 ding. Also here the belt buckle. There we go. Each and every one. And I don't know if you can hear that, but in the background is a ice food truck. And that's it with the scales. Ta-da! So here also we can now paint here a little bit the tip of the spear, like that. like 1/3 of the spear. So we can have now a nice transition between really dark, mid-dark, medium bright, and then we highlight that even more with some mithril silver, or the brightest silver that you have. Also here a little bit. There we go. Okay, now let's focus on the gold. So we have the gold now washed with brown wash, and we will need a brownish gold or dark gold. I will use here now dwarven gold, but you can also use retributor armor if you have it from GW, doesn't matter. So we take a little bit on our palette and then we mix that with some Warplock bronze to get a nice dark golden brass tone. Adjust the amount on the brush, remove all the cat hair, and then we can start. Let's start here at this plate. And we are basically painting, let's say, 95%. You see here there's still a little bit of the brown and a little bit of the washed gold. Maybe I can show that better here. See, the upper part is still in the washed stage. Here's a little coffee stain, but that's okay. We will just cover that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We just overpaint it. Just like that. So, and well, I will do this treatment to the entire gold armor now. Always leave the dark brown wash in the recesses and leave a little bit of the stained gold behind, and overall highlight it. So I'll be back when this stage is done. So this looks after the first highlight stage, and now we take the pure form of this gold. Like I said before, just use retributor armor if you have it from Games Workshop, or any other nice gold tone that you prefer. And we will now highlight even more. Now we are going one step further. See? Just like if you would highlight any other colored surface. Just pick out the raised areas, like here for example, this round spots, also here for example, the knees, always focusing on the top part. Here we are going downward on these plates. See? There's the previous layer and the first stage. Here again, a little bit lower. It's not witchcraft. It's just precise applying of paint. Here just the forehead and the nose maybe. And here top parts of the glove, a little bit here on the fingers, the arrow, here the shoulder pad parts on the top, here the middle line, just like that, bright highlight in the middle, there. Also with the shield, a little bit here on the faceplate, the rim of the shield, here the edge of the shield. Yeah, it's a fiddly job, but somebody has to do it. So, by the way, I've painted the inside of the shield silver and gave it a wash. So, yeah, and now we take ourselves a bright silver. Here I use a scale color heavy metal, but you can also use a bright silver like mithril silver or any other bright silver you have. And we make a 50-50 mix out of gold and the silver to make a platinum color. And with that we will paint now here the lower portions of the gold. Like a nice crisp highlight. Also here, tiny dots on the pecs. Just gold armor alone looks a little bit plain, but with this method, with the brown and the silver, we give the armor overall a very rich and a three-dimensional impact. So a little edge highlight here on the shoulder pads. A little bit here on the bolt. Don't overdo it with a platin, just on the highest spots a little bit, and that's already enough. Like some light reflections here on the halo. You get the point. So, yeah, that's basically it for the gold armor. We can now maybe make a few super highlight spots with just this bright silver. So, for example, here directly on top of the helmet, there. Then maybe here this rim around his collar, here a little bit on the front. Just tiny spots. We don't want to overpower it and look like the armor looks like silver, but just the highest reflections. Here, for example, one edge highlight there, one edge highlight there. A little bit here, then a tiny dot here on the knee pad, and there, and here in the middle of the boots, one highlight line, also here one, just like that, see? Just pick out some nice spots where you would think that, well, a nice bright highlight would appear. To have a nice shiny armor. Also, we can use this bright silver now here a little bit again on the scales, on some of them, not all. Maybe here the lowest. Give them a little bit more of a punch. So also we use that now here on the tip of the spear. Just like that. And then we make a edge highlight on the spear. Once we hear the middle line. And this little triangular shapes here on the spear, and ta-da, we have a nice three-dimensional looking spear tip. So let's attach the shield real quick. So with the darker silver, I will paint now here. Oh, no, I will not do that now. I will do the blue first. Yeah. Okay, tell you what, this here is now the gold armor finished. The next things I will do off camera is I will prime the inside of the shield in Cantabric blue. Also I will prime the handle here of the spear and the hilt of the sword in Wraithbone. What else? Yeah, that's it. Also the shoulder pads I will use in the same blue. So, be right back when this is done. So Chewies, there we have him now with the primed shield, shoulder pads, and here the wrappings around his spear. And now we will highlight the shoulder pads and the shield, the blue tone. And as you can see here, this is the reason why I stopped with the silver right now. Because, well, we were painting the inside of the shield, and there tends to be speckles of paint coming across on the lightning bolts, and we will overpaint that later. And now comes the time where the GW starter brush shines. Normally this is a very crappy brush. As you can see at the tip here, it does not have a real tip, but that's exactly what we want, because we will be stippling this. So the colors I'm using, the names are Cantabric blue, Amaranth blue, and Cloud blue, but you can take just what you have, a dark blue, mid-tone blue, and a bright blue, or whatever color you prefer. Just take a dark, middle, and bright version of it, and we're good to go. So I will use now here first the dark blue on the palette, and then we'll add a little bit of the mid-tone blue to it. There we go. Dab off most of the excess, and then we will go to stipple here a little bit. There we go. Just like that. Leave a little bit of the dark behind at the edge, and we're good to go. So, same goes here for the shoulder pad. We are working ourselves more towards the middle here, the little bump in the middle. By the way, this totally works also for Space Marine shoulder pads or any other round surface you might come across. Just stipple a little bit. So There we go. Now we will use the pure version of the mid-tone blue. Facing more towards the middle portions. Of course, leaving a little bit of the previous color behind, so we get a nice transition. And this stippling motion gives also the surface some form of texture. It is not the absolute smoothest blend, like for example with an airbrush or with wet blending or with glazing, but it is quick, it is easy, and it looks interesting. So, and now for the final highlight, we take also again the mid-tone blue and add just a tiny speck of the bright blue into it. And with that, we'll go for the final highlight very gently. Some stipplings here and there. Yeah, there's enough. Same goes for here, just a little bit, just in the middle. Like that. Okay, now we'll switch brush. To a fine tip brush, and we'll take the same blue we had right now, and with that we will just quickly make a nice edge highlight here at the shoulder pads. And like that. It's also done. A little bit more. There we go. Okay. Nice edge highlighting, and the blue is highlighted. So now we go for the spear wrappings. So you can use whatever contrast color you like, be it a turquoise or green or a blue or brown. I, for myself, for the Hammers of Sigma, prefer a red to give it a little bit more of a color punch to the whole miniature, so I'm using here Blood Angels Red. But like I said, you can use whatever you like. If you prefer brown leather wrappings, just use snakebite leather, for example, or skeleton horde, or fire slayer flesh. It is totally up to you. So make sure you have covered it all around. Then handle here on the tiny little short sword. Yeah, that's also done. Ta-da! So, final things to do on this miniature. Obviously, making the base. I will just use some sand with white glue. I will cover up this hole with a tiny piece of paper. After I've painted it with white glue, paper on it, then again white glue on it, and dragging it through some sand. After that, I will paint it with a brown wash. Let that completely dry for a few hours, and then I will dry brush it with some skin tone, and after that with a bone tone, and add some grass tufts. What else will I do? I will also paint here this lightning bolts here in silver. Just grab some silver paint and paint those. You can also paint those in white, like in the box art. I will highlight the gold here on the shoulder pad a little bit more, and fix some gold mistakes I have here, for example with the blue. But overall, the miniature is done. So I will quickly grab a different miniature that is the same and show you the final result. Be right back. So there I'm back, and here you can see this is the final version. This is how he will look like in the end. And yeah, this is how the base looks. Here, gold detail with silver lightning bolts around it. The true metallic metal tip of the spear. And yeah, I hope you like this little tutorial for the gold painted Stormcast Eternals of the Hammers of Sigmar. And well, we see us in the next video. You're Alexandra. Oh, and by the way, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. It means a lot to me. See you.